This week, we're finishing The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, otherwise known as Oh My God, How Did I Forget?
Hi, readers. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine Season 2, the podcast where we break down the best and worst fictional heroines of any genre. Because that's what we do now.
Want to see what's next on our TBR list? Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Instagram for a sneak peek at upcoming content or to help us pick our next book.
Well.
Readers,
we did not expect to get 3 parts out of The Love Hypothesis.
No.
But very much like Bride, we have a lot of sidebar things.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to talk about because we like these books so much.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. This book reads like a copy of Teen Vogue where you get sucked into it and you're like, this is not for me, but I'm going to read the whole thing anyways. And then you've been sitting there for an hour and a half and have accomplished nothing, but you feel kind of giddy and like you want to paint your nails sparkly purple. Mm-hmm. There's no way you can not talk about all the side shit when you talk about these books.
True. But this is where the story takes a darker turn. We get a lot of kind of the stuff you would expect in a STEM-centric romance novel is where it gets packed in here in the last third of the book.
Yeah, because kind of what's been happening in the last couple of chapters before this point is that Olive is talking about how she submitted her research for this conference called like SBD or something. It's in Boston. They're going to travel for it. It's going to be exciting. But she's assuming that her research is going to be taken as a poster, which I don't know about you, but it was giving me science fair vibes. Is that really how these
like an advanced science fair? Yeah.
Is that how these conferences work?
You're talking to the wrong person.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a liberal arts major.
Same. Because that's kind of surprising to me. But apparently she learns kind of right around this time in the plot that her research was accepted as a
like a panel discussion?
Yeah, like a presentation. And so she's going to be presenting with 4 other people.
Including Tom.
Yeah, which is what she finds out. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'll see you in Boston when we're on the same panel. And she's like, what the fuck? You're on the other panel as me?
Meanwhile, she's having like a full panic attack because she has a lot of anxiety about speaking in public and just talking to people in general, like new people, which that was incredibly relatable. Like, find me a person who doesn't have like pre-briefings, like public discussion. What's it? Public speaking stress?
Yes. I don't know why I said it like that, but yes, public speaking. And so she's panicking, but it really stems from her assuming that people are going to call her stupid about it, which I think is also very reasonable in this kind of STEM-centric world. And I think that's a bit where the realism comes in. She assumes that someone's going to ask her some kind of crazy specific question and be like, you don't know shit about fuck. She's going to be like, I don't know shit about fuck, and then cry. And yeah, exactly. So other situation happens, though, as they're preparing to go to this conference. She's talking with her friends a couple days beforehand, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to room with you guys, and we're going to stay up late and watch all these movies and eat junk food and popcorn. And Anne is like, oh my God, you're not staying with us. And Olive is like, what do you mean I'm not staying with you guys? Because I have not found another hotel room. And they're like, well, we assumed that you were going to stay with your hot boyfriend who's getting a room for free.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Because Adam also happens to be the keynote speaker at this conference.
Yup. And he is obviously getting a hotel room in the hotel that this is happening. And so Olive goes on to this crazy search of freaky websites trying to find some place to stay. She cannot. And so she finally is at the point that she's like, hey, Adam, Akko situation. And he's like, I mean, yeah, totally. You can stay in, my hotel room. It makes a lot of things a lot easier. There's 2 beds. It'll be fine. I love this part because she's like, no, there's not going to be 2 beds.
There's never 2 beds.
I have the confirmation on my phone. It says 2 beds. And she's like, no, that's not how this works. It's 1 bed trope. And he's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but okay. It does end up that there's 2 beds, though.
Yeah. And I thought Ali Hazelwood did a good job at explaining the awkwardness of sharing a living space with someone, whether it's a man or a woman, for the first time. Like, just the weirdness of like, oh, I'm going to wear my pajamas in front of you, or oh, we're going to brush our teeth in the same space, or like having to just share a bathroom with someone else for the first time. Like, that's a next level in any kind of friendship relationship that it's a huge barrier to entry.
Yup. And then the scene she describes of you have to sit there and listen to them kind of pretend not to shuffle when you guys go to bed or whatever. That 100% visceral. There we go. Jesus Lord. 100% have been there. Like, I can't move too much. I only get like 2 moves per 30-minute interval before I fall asleep, or else I'll be annoying and, wake up the other person. So you just kind of stay there uncomfortably and you're like, this is fine.
I forget what like subreddit I was on, but some like man made a comment about how he calls his wife a rotisserie chicken because of how often she spins in the middle of the night.
I 100% am one of those Costco rotisserie chickens right now. And I make like big sighing noises too as I try to like renegotiate in bed. And I just spin like circle, 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 circle. Yeah. It's miserable, but it's fine.
But that general like ickiness of sharing a space with someone, especially someone you're attracted to.
Oh my, hell no. Absolutely not.
The whole bathroom piece would just no.
It's not gonna work. Oh my God, I'm getting like nervous thinking.
I know,
about that.
I don't like it, but like it's more okay in this scene because Adam isn't there. So she arrives, the hotel room's empty. She can see that he's been there, but like their time doesn't overlap, which tracks because he's busy.
Yeah.
He's a keynote speaker. He's got shit going on. And she's like, all right, this isn't so bad. I'm going to settle down. Oh, fuck, I forgot to pack my pajamas.
I love that part. And I love where it leads later. Yeah, but we obviously need one of those, oh no, she's beautiful moments because she puts on her dress and does her hair.
Part, yeah.
And then of course Adam comes in as she's finishing getting ready and he's speechless and she's like, do I look okay? And he's like, yeah.
I loved this though because she describes it as like a very basic black dress and black heels, but it's so much of an upgrade from her standard attire that it's like, I have been there.
Same.
like this was minor change, but like, look at me, I'm a new person.
Yep, as we're both in athleisure right now. I wear this t-shirt to bed. Yeah.
You're lucky I'm wearing a bra right now.
I also feel that. But yeah. And then it's kind of interesting. There is a lot of like, not time jumps, but you'd think they'd spend more time hyping up this like speaking thing. But then she just goes and does it and it goes fine.
Yeah. Like she surprises herself with how well she does. And she like records it on her phone so she can show her like mentor later.
Because her mentor is not going.
Yes.
Sad. And then nothing good happens.
No, it gets real bad.
Yeah.
So before she went to the conference, and this is because we're leading up and to this point we've been trying to dance around. Adam's good friend, Professor Rodriguez, took Olive aside and like in a one-on-one conversation said, hey, like, I think you should just be careful about Tom. Like nothing more than that. Just like, just be careful. He's a little, something's off there. Like their friendship isn't like, I haven't known Tom as long as Adam and I have known each other. But
that was the other part is they all went to some grad school together.
Yeah, Rodriguez, Adam, and Tom.
But Rodriguez wasn't in their program, but was in a different program. So he didn't really ever get the full story. But Adam and Tom had a really fucked up mentor, sponsor person.
Basically abusive, like psychologically abusive to their grad students. And so
yeah, and as Rodriguez kind of tells her, or Holden, I feel like his name is Holden.
Holden, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was like, wait a second. But Holden kind of tells her that he feels like there was some kind of weird Tom making himself out to be the savior for Adam. Like he thought the timing of everything was always just weird. Yeah, shady. And so Olive is kind of like, oh, okay, like I mean, I guess, but sure, whatever. Until this happens.
So Olive, in her pretty dress and heels, is walking back to her hotel room that she shares with Adam, but Adam's not there, and she runs into Tom right outside her like hotel room door. And Tom, I forget exactly how it plays out, but he basically says, "You're real hot. Let's do something about that. Because we all know what's going to happen when you come to Boston next year. And how do you think you actually got a spot on this panel? Because you're just Adam's girlfriend, and you're just a..." God, what he says to her is so...
I feel like I blacked it out because it was too traumatic.
He calls her work derivative and a bunch of other big fancy words that really resonate with her.
Yeah.
And she's horrified because she's like, oh, this was the man like who's going to be my mentor and I was going to work with him. And oh, this is Adam's friend. And he is trying to assault me in the hallway and basically says he's going to fuck me later.
Yeah. And also she feels quadruple bad because Adam and Tom have been working on joint research together and they're about to undertake a big program at Harvard next year. And oh no, Tom is a skank, but it's going to ruin this exciting project that Adam is, reinvigorated about science about. And so she cries.
She cries. But good for Olive in the fact that she stands up for herself, tells Tom to fuck off, and like nothing is ever going to happen. And she like locks herself in the hotel room before she just breaks down and starts bawling.
Oh, the poor little baby.
Yeah, so she's crying real hard, and then like some time later, Adam returns, and he can tell right away that something's wrong.
This scene is so cute because he's so gentle.
She tells him, talks around the fact that it was Tom, but she tells him kind of what he said to her, and he like assures her like, you were not on this panel, you were not invited to this conference because of me, like it's like a blind review. Don't listen to that bullshit, and what can I do to make you feel better? And she's like, well, can we go get some food?
Because I like the fact that he basically is like, you need to file a complaint about this person, like that's not okay, you can't talk about people that way. And she's like, no, I don't really feel comfortable with that. And he's kind of like there for her, but he doesn't push her towards it, which I think is crazy awesome, representation, there we go, of how a situation like this should happen, because Olive is a victim in this, situation, and you can't force a victim to do something and, have to go through the process of, providing evidence and testimony and probably like accusing the person. Like that's a whole lot, but he's like, you should do this. You're rightfully, you can do this, but I'm not going to force you to, but I'll be here regardless of what your decision is. And I was like, supportive man figure. I love it.
Without being domineering, without trying to take control of the situation. Excellent.
Yes. Love it.
So ate it up. They clean up. He takes her out. This is the sushi train.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's horrified. He's like, this is not fucking sushi.
And it's also so cute because he makes some kind of joke about her being expensive because their Starbucks totals are always like in the 40s of dollars, because she's like, I'll take a banana and a muffin and this fancy drink and a protein bar. And then they are walking and they're like, where do you want to go? And she sees this fucking, I can only imagine, the $20 all you can eat sushi. And
I
she's like,
love a good sushi train. It's my favorite way to eat sushi.
It's so much fun. And he's like, okay, I take that back. You were apparently a very cheap date. And it's this cute, like genuine dating banter. And it's just like, it fills me with like, oh, you guys are so cute.
I just love when she like takes a bowl of edamame and puts it in front of him. Here, green stuff.
Here you go. He's like, thank you. Because I think she even says later, like he probably had his, life's worth of edamame and like seaweed salad or something. I feel that.
And it's like enough of a distraction come down from her like panel discussion and the follow on with Tom that she's like at ease. And then they go back to the hotel room, and I sent you a picture of this part of the book when I was on my bike.
Oh, you did? Yeah. That you did.
Because you warned me. She's like, just wait till you get to like the 65% mark. And I was sitting on my stationary bike working out, and like that is the wrong exercise to be on when I hit this part of the book.
Because it's funny because we were making jokes about how like 65% is always when the sex scene happens. And then it was literally in this book 65% that it starts.
Yep.
She forgets her pajamas. He offers
his t-shirt. There's something about like a well-worn men's t-shirt.
Yep. Except I'm at the point that they used to be big and baggy and now they're just regular size. And I bamboozle myself every time I put on one of those shirts. Like, this is going to be so baggy and cute. And it's fitted. But it's fine because Olive is small and it looks like a dress on her. So it's not awkward. But this is going to be kind of gross. But I feel like our readers... this is nothing new. I don't sleep with underwear on, but would she have to wear her old underwear or did she put on new underwear? And then like you don't have shorts on, so you're just like your life's hanging out there. You know what I mean? Because if she only has a shirt for pajamas, that was immediately my whole train of thought when she talked about putting this shirt on.
I think everyone has different clothing preferences when they go to sleep at night. Mine are not the same as yours, but I would hope that...
Okay, so that makes more sense. Thank you for offering an outside perspective. Because my first thought was like, that is very risky for your first night sleeping with some man. Because also, but if you do have like underwear on but no shorts, like what if it gets hot at night and you kick off the covers and then he sees your whole butt?
Well, it depends what kind you're wearing, I suppose.
But he's still going to see your whole butt. He's going to see your undies.
So it's like a bikini.
I guess that's true.
I mean, obviously.
I don't know. I was concerned on her behalf about just wearing a long t-shirt to bed with a man that you think is hot.
I mean, yes. I don't know that I would do the same thing in the same situation.
Okay, thank you. I wouldn't either.
Like, I can find some way to make this work.
We'll figure something out. Go to Walmart and get a pair of shorts.
Yeah, I 100% would have gone to the store and picked out some cheap-ass 100%.
Yeah. And you can still wear his shirt, but you need pants. Except they immediately don't need pants.
No. Like, it develops somehow, like, he's comforting her, she's, like, receptive to it, and then it devolves into 65%, which is our code. Forever and ever, amen. It is...
No, I was just reading your note here about focus on consent. I did like that it was very big into the consent because it's kind of talked about in this and a little bit before. Olive doesn't have a lot of sexual experience and he's very cognizant and like respectful of that fact, but it also weirdly makes it so much hotter.
Yes, it is. It's strangely hot.
I was like, oh geez.
I think there's an aspect to it of a man who knows they have the ability to take control and be more powerful in a situation like this, willing to give that control away and offer it to someone else. That's powerful and hot.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I can't even think of the right word. I feel like it's more of a topic with like BDSM community or whatever, but it's that like informed consent and like power dynamics in a relationship that if it is something different than the norm, it's like, whoa, okay. So I appreciate that about this because they aren't awkward about it. It's a very like upfront conversation, but it's handled well. And he's like, okay, we're just gonna do whatever at your pace and it'll be fine. And she's like, really? I didn't know that this could be a positive experience for both of us. And it is a very positive experience.
So the other really good aspect of this is, well, Olive is not a virgin, which is super, super common trope, especially in fantasy romance, especially like, oh my God, this is the first man who's ever left me. Of course I'm a virgin.
Yeah.
She is not experienced. So she's like, she's had sex a few times and it comes up. He asks her like, Olive, have you done this before? She's like, oh yeah, a few times. But that still like registers with that. I'm like, just a few times? Like you're not like, you can have sex several times and still not be very experienced or know what you're doing and feel uncomfortable and like uncertain and need reassurances. And I thought that was really well portrayed here.
Yeah. Because I also like she has like an existential crisis about it. She's like, virginity is a dichotomy. It's like a ones and zeros. You either are or aren't. And he's like, that's not really how experience works. And she's like, what do you mean? And it's like,
let me show you.
She's like, oh my God, I know what it means. It was one of probably maybe not my favorite like smutty scene, but it's one that kind of comes out of left field and you're like, Jesus, whoa.
Yeah, because we're dancing around it, but it is,
wow.
You know exactly where everything is going.
It's funny too, because I remember the first time I read this, I was talking to my friend who doesn't really read fantasy romance, but she does read a lot of like contemporary romance. And I was talking to her about this book and I'm like, it's so good, but it's really smutty. And she's like, yeah, I just read the smut scene and it was intense. And I was like, you just read the smut scene? So apparently that's a thing. You can just find the like, couple page chunk of the smut part.
It's pretty, like, if you know where it's at, like.
Yeah. It was just funny because even she was like, yeah, this was on the far edge of descriptive smut.
I'd say smut has gotten way more descriptive and graphic than it's been like in the last 30, 40 years of publishing.
I could see that. Yeah. But I appreciate that Ali Hazelwood doesn't like draw it out or it's not all the time.
No.
It's just one very good descriptive one and then we move on.
And then we wrap up the plot.
Yep.
It's like you earn it.
Yep. I appreciate that. Because that was my big beef about the King of Battle and Blood or whatever the fuck. It was like sex all the time. And I'm like, I don't want this.
No.
Like, I just want a good scene.
I'm not consenting to this.
I know. Yeah. No consent.
So,
but yeah.
They have a great evening.
Yep. That they do.
But she's like, this is the last time we can be together. This was dumb.
Yeah.
I despised this.
Yeah. Because so at the very beginning, they had set like an end time of their fake relationship. And it was when he would get his funds and they would be like, okay, like they're established. This is the cutoff date. It was like September 29th or whatever. And of course, their one night banging session was on the night of the 29th. And so he like goes to do some interviews at Harvard, I think, for the next couple days. And she's like, we're no longer together and I'm sad. And then
she breaks up with him, basically.
Yeah.
Like, this is the end of our time together.
Oh, yeah, because it is. It's like the next morning.
Yeah.
And he's like all dressed up and cute. And he's like, hey. And she's like, we have to break up. And he's like,
because I think it's in this scene, like after they have sex, he tells her, by the way, Olive, I was thinking about applying, like working at Harvard, the same fucking school that you're going to next year. So I have some interviews there. And I'm like, Olive, you couldn't put these pieces together? Like,
like he's doing this for you, girl. And she's like, well, I'm actually not going to Harvard, but I can't tell him that because it's about Tom. So I'm just going to pretend like everything is fine. And like, oh, great,
we're just going to end here.
Love Harvard. Yeah. And then life continues until it doesn't. And her friends are in her room and she accidentally clicks the space bar when she didn't mean to. And girl, I have done that before. Oh. It's so awkward. And the really heinous part about the recording starts and Malcolm and Anne are like,
excuse me, what?
What the fuck?
Well, because Olive had her phone recording her panel discussion and she forgot to turn her recording off. So conveniently had her phone set to record when Tom confronted her. Fantastic, great plot device. We need that for the story to continue. And at this point, I think Adam has, like, he's left the hotel, right? Like he's moved to another hotel. And so the friends are like, show us your panel discussion. That's the setup.
I think so. Or she's like cutting it because it's like 8 or 9 hours because it continued on and she's like trying to cut it while they're talking about, because this is when Malcolm hooked up with Holden, who he's been like fangirling about for the whole book. And apparently they're mushy and in love. Ugh. And then Tom's voice cuts through and then Olive starts crying.
Yeah. And
which 100%.
Oh, yeah. Because if you have to relive that kind of thing.
Yeah. Because like Anna's immediately like, Olive, like, what the fuck was that? Tell me what's happening. And you can, I perfectly visualize the scene of like the crumpling of the face. Like that's a very visceral thing that I think everyone has gone through when someone's like, no, like tell me why you're upset. And you're like, yeah.
Well, because she had danced around it with Adam. She told him bits and pieces, but this is the first time she's telling anyone about it. And good for Anne and Malcolm to be like, okay,
bruh.
Yeah, this is not right. You need to do something. And thank God they like convince her, you need to tell Adam that his friend is a fuckwaffle.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bride. That is my favorite takeaway from that book.
Fuckwaffle.
And he cannot work at Harvard.
Yeah.
And they somehow managed to convince Olive that she needs to just hunt Adam down and tell him about this.
Yeah. And it's also funny too, because this is when it comes out that Adam and Olive are fake dating. And Malcolm is like, so we kind of like know something that you don't know, Anne. And Anne, like, as they're talking about it, is having like an existential crisis in real time. And she's like, oh my God, I made you slather lotion on him. And oh my God, I made you sit on his lap. And you guys were fake dating. What the fuck is wrong with me? It was the most like...
That was Anne's saving grace as a character.
Yeah,
was her
100%.
reaction in this moment.
Oh, God. It just made me laugh really hard. But she's basically like, yeah, you need to go talk to him because his best friend is a psychopath.
Yeah. And this is where Olive gets a little like ballsy.
Yeah.
Because I could not imagine doing this.
Oh, absolutely not. Because Adam is, doing like an interview dinner thing.
A formal dinner with like high-level professors from Harvard.
Yeah.
And Olive goes to the restaurant and is at the hostess desk and she's like, I'm here to see that guy, so I'll just wait here. And I loved this moment.
Oh, 100%, girl. I ate this shit up so fast.
God. So Adam looks up from the table, sees Olive, and immediately gets up, walks over to her. Like, doesn't even hesitate. That is what everyone deserves. A person who will get up in the middle of a professional, like, fucking interview and be like, you're here. Like, obviously you could tell that she was there for an important reason. Otherwise, why would she be there? Yeah. And he knew in that moment, like, all right, this is the most important thing to me.
Yep. Oh, God.
Nom, nom, nom.
I know. This was some straight up, like, pure sugar deliciousness. Oh, God.
Oh, and then what happens next?
Oh, God. So he, like, rushes over through the restaurant, and he's like, Olive, what are you doing here? What's wrong? You look like you've been crying. What's happening? And then Tom comes up behind him, and he's like, dude, what the fuck? You're in the middle of an interview. Like, you're going to fuck this up for us. We have a lot banking on this. And he's basically like, Tom, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And it's like,
this is before Olive says anything. Like, Tom is like, why is she fucking here? And like, Adam is full stop, bro.
Yup. And then Tom makes some kind of like questionable thing about, your little girlfriend or something. And Adam is moments away from losing his cool. And then Olive plays the audio.
Just on her phone, like straight up holds it in front of Tom's face.
And everyone's confused for a moment. Like, where the fuck are these voices coming from? And then Adam has an Adam moment. And oh my God.
Woo!
I don't know what it is about like gratuity.
Gratuity.
I tried twice.
You were thinking restaurant gratuity, probably gratuitous.
Sure, that's a very wholesome hope for. I cannot talk. Can you?
I'm a little flustered. It's a little warm in here.
Can you just go? I cannot.
Adam swings at Tom. Like, you see everything click into place because he remembers what Olive told him in the hotel room about her interaction with the random unknown professor who was a dick to her. And then he realizes, oh, fuck, it's Tom. Oh, fuck, it was even worse than Olive told me about. And then he just pummels the shit out of Tom.
Ugh.
Or almost. Like, he grabs him and is like about ready to beat him when all the other professors come out. I'm like, well, what's going on here? This isn't okay.
Going on?
He like shoves Tom aside. Olive, go back to your hotel. I'll find you later. I will handle this. And like, oh, yes.
Oh my God. Because that's what I was trying to say is like, in real life, I would not tolerate a man hitting someone else instead of using their words. But there is something about this specific dynamic that I'm just absolutely enamored with. Like, yeah, beat him up.
Do it.
Oh,
yeah. So Adam handles it.
Yep. That he do. He handles business.
Olive goes back to California and she is going to wait for Adam to come back.
They even like meet
They meet at the airport. So she and Malcolm are waiting at the airport for Holden and Adam to fly back from Boston. And they do. And then they go on a double date. They go out to dinner together.
Yep.
Oh, we forgot.
What?
After she plays the recording in front of them, Adam has an exclamation like, how dare you say that about the woman I love?
Oh my God, how did I forget? Woo, yeah, because Olive just kind of like, oh, me? Like, yeah, you dumbass.
Yeah. And so she's kind of living in like bliss, La La Land, and they come back, they go on a double date, and basically Olive and Adam are like, so we love each other, right?
Yep. I also love the fact that, you know, those people that have known you for a really long time and they 100% will tell all of your like dirty secrets from when you were 12 to 14. That's basically what happens during this double date. But then it also includes the fact, you know, about Olive, like he's been obsessed with you for years. And Olive is like, what do you mean? And that's when we find out that the big blob of a man
from the prologue, when she was trying to put her contacts in,
is Adam. Because I think that's the other part that I love about this is I think everyone at their heart wants some person to fall in love with them from one small, you know, interaction and then hold a flame for them
years.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. Who doesn't fantasize about that?
Yeah. So then you read back all of the things that happened and you realize that Adam obviously went along with this stupid fake dating thing because he loves her. And he was probably whacked sideways by the fact that she ran up and kissed him. Like that man probably had an instant boner immediately. Like I am dreaming 100%, or I, you know, inhaled too many weird science fumes and I am hallucinating. No, you're not. You're in a rom-com book.
And it's delightful.
Delicious. 100%. I will probably read this again.
Yeah, I want to reread it already. Yeah,
I know. That's the thing about Ali Hazelwood books is like you don't just read them once.
So she has another book out called Not in Love. Did you ever?
I don't think I actually like looked into.
Neither did I. And I know she's done one like a YA rom-com, Check and Mate.
Oh, it's not out yet.
Oh,
June 11th.
Ooh.
A forbidden secret affair proves that all's fair in love and science.
I don't know if I love that.
I don't know what that means because, yeah, I'm not really
I don't like that.
about secret affair unless it's like just a fun word for a fling, not like a affair. So we'll see what that's all about. But yeah, every time I read an Ali Hazelwood book, I immediately read her other ones.
Yeah, it's a good, a good like deep dive into not our more serious, fey-winged, political intrigue. Next episode, we are starting The Familiar, which recently published by Lee Bardugo. As of this episode, Katie's already finished it, and I'm at like 15-20%.
Yeah, I did.
It is...
I feel like we should preface it. So the way that it's marketed, it feels like it's going to be a fantasy romance like every other book out right now. And the cover looks a little bit funkier, but you're like, maybe it's a dark fantasy romance. It's not. Like it is, but it's a lot heavier than I was expecting. It's not fun and cute. This is one of those books that you have to...
You need some brain power.
Yeah.
To process it.
Yeah.
You described it as like a darker Shadow and Bone.
100%. Yeah. It's basically Shadow and Bone if the Darkling and Alina got together. Yeah. And it has that same kind of like heaviness to it that Shadow and Bone had at certain moments where you're like, this is like fucking Jesus. That's this whole book.
So if you prefer to save some dollars and want to hear our take on it before you invest in it, because this is definitely not the standard, like you were saying, romantasy. That is next episode.
But it's good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
It's an investment.
Yes. Which is crazy because it's only like 380 pages.
Thank God. And it's a standalone. Not a duology, not a fucking trilogy, not a 7-book throw in a glass investment.
But it definitely reads like it's like 600 pages. Everything's fine, but that's next.
Yeah. Well, from our shelf to yours.
We'll see you on the next page. Hi, readers. If you'd like to help us pick our next book, send us a message on Instagram.
Or if you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.
Bussin'.